YouTube can throttle us.
They can suppress us.
But they can't stop a text message.
A bombshell just dropped in Sacramento. Gavin Newsom's own former chief of staff walked into federal court and pleaded guilty to campaign finance fraud, lying to the FBI, and filing a false tax return. Dana Williamson faces charges tied to siphoning hundreds of thousands from a dormant political account linked to Xavier Becerra. And this is the same Becerra who served as Biden's HHS secretary. Newsom now faces direct questions about the culture he built at the top. Is this just one bad apple, or does it reveal something much bigger inside of California politics? That's the question. You see, California taxpayers, they're footing the bill while insiders play games with campaign cash. Every dollar stolen from these accounts means less for roads, schools, and real services that working families need. This guilty plea, it lands right as the Trump administration ramps up its nationwide fraud crackdown. And J.D. Vance has already flagged California as a leader in Medicaid abuse and weak oversight. When top aides get caught siphoning funds for personal luxuries like designer bags and birthday trips, it erodes trust in government at every single level. Ordinary Americans see Democrats shielding their own while demanding more of your money. This is not isolated. It fits a pattern of elite insiders treating public funds like their personal piggy bank. But first, a critical minerals breakthrough that strengthens America's national security. This breaking news: SAGA metals, trading as SAGMF in the United States and SAGA in Canada, is back in the spotlight much sooner than expected. In less than 6 months, this company moved at a pace rarely seen in the critical mineral space. Less than 48 hours ago, SAGA announced a 100% drill success rate across all 57 holes at its radar project. And they did it ahead of schedule. And that alone would be major news, but it's only part of the story. They also added $10 million to its treasury through a financing round that positions the company to accelerate exploration on U.S. soil. These are exactly the kinds of American resource projects that the Trump administration wants to fast-track to reduce reliance on foreign adversaries like China. So watch for the in-depth interview on this topic on Sunday, and check the link in the description for full details. Now back to the growing fraud scandal engulfing California Democrats, because right after that plea deal, Gavin Newsom tried to shrug it off in public comments. He said he had no concerns for himself but refused to speak for others tied to the case. The dodge only fuels the fire. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance just confirmed that California leads the nation in these fraud patterns. The timing could not be worse for Newsom's national ambitions. Holy smokes, Gavin Newsom's chief of staff just pleaded guilty. Dana Williamson, fraud, corruption scheme, conspiring to steal $225,000 from campaign account. She's no longer with Newsom's office, was first charged with 23 federal charges. She was also accused of trying to funnel the funds to Becerra's former aide. Becerra was Biden's HHS secretary. She pleaded guilty to 3 counts: campaign finance fraud, lying to the FBI, and filing a false tax return, according to Politico. So these are some of the people that Gavin Newsom surrounds himself with. Here you can see her entering into
which Williamson partnered with 2 other co-conspirators to siphon $10,000 a month out of a dormant campaign fund for Xavier Becerra. It was Xavier Becerra for State Superintendent 2030. So there was a dormant fund, and Williamson's attorney in a news conference after court said to us journalists, this was a matter of my client being a good friend. He said McCluskey had taken a job in Washington, D.C. with Becerra, as Becerra was the Health and Human Services Secretary under President Biden at the time, and was not making enough money to support his family back in California. So McCluskey told Williamson, look, I need some extra money. So at that point, Williamson's attorney said they devised the scheme to give $10,000 from this fund to McCluskey's wife. Now, Williamson's attorney, McGregor Scott, he was a former federal prosecutor here in the Eastern District of California. He said $2,500 per month of that $10,000 came out of Williamson's own pocket, that she was kind of uncomfortable with the arrangement, but she did it to help a friend. Now, McGregor Scott, her attorney, also said that McCluskey had told Williamson, hey, I cleared it with Becerra. He's all good with this. I asked if there's documentation of that reassurance, if McCluskey had texted it or something to Williamson, and he said in discovery, it's not public record, but in discovery, there are electronic records of McCluskey telling Williamson Becerra okayed this. So my next step after this live shot here, I'm going to reach out to the Becerra campaign and see his answer to this. He has denied up to this point no.
Yeah, so he is denying it, but she admitted to the $225,000 fraud scheme, siphoning cash from Becerra's dormant account. Court records detail how she funneled it into personal luxuries, including designer bags and a $150,000 Mexico trip. Wow. Okay, so she allegedly falsely claimed personal expenses as business deductions, including thousands on a Chanel and Fendi bags, an HVAC unit for her home, and a $150,000 trip to Mexico for her birthday. $150,000? Sean McCluskey is Becerra's former chief of staff, and lobbyist Greg Campbell also pleaded guilty to charges related to the thefts. Now here she is.
Do you have any comment, Ms. Williamson?
Excuse us. No, you guys can't talk by your
Do you have anything to say at all?
Ms. Williamson, do you have anything to say to Xavier Becerra right now? Wanting to press against you, alleging that you and
So there she is, doing the perp walk from the prison. However, Newsom insists he has no concerns over the guilty plea. Listen to Gavin Newsom.
Catching up on the details, but today's plea deal and the Dana Williamson case overall, it is a very big deal. I mean, the latest developments, do you have any concerns that there could be potential implications for yourself and also Xavier Becerra as a gubernatorial?
Well, I don't for me at all, period. But, so no. And I can't answer on the basis of another person. Yeah, it's back to, he'll have to answer that. But, oh, sorry.
Yeah, so he's just brushing off a massive scandal. Now, J.D. Vance is tying this to a larger pattern hitting California and other blue states like Maine. Vance confirms that Maine's level of fraud is likely third in the nation, directly behind California and Minnesota. Here is J.D. Vance earlier today.
Proven guilty, but what I've noticed is a pattern that when you see certain types of fraud and certain types of programs, that's the tip of the iceberg. And when I see that autism services fraud in the Medicaid program in the Somali community, but not just that, I see local and state politicians who don't care about policing that fraud, that's the tip of the iceberg. And we're going to find out just how deep that iceberg is, and I suspect, I can't promise, but I suspect we are going to find hundreds of millions of more dollars every single month that we look in the state of Maine, because this is not a state that takes it seriously. And this is the third point and the most important one. I do not actually like having a contentious relationship between the state government and the federal government. We want people to help us find the fraudsters. It goes a lot quicker. It's a lot easier. It requires fewer resources from the federal government, but you find more fraud when you're working with people at the local level. What I find so preposterous about Maine, it's not just that we found tens of millions of dollars of fraud in a relatively small state. It's that we've had no cooperation from the state government. So when I say...
We're going to find out just how deep that iceberg is. And we're going to find hundreds of millions and more. So, the guilty plea, it proves the rot runs deep. Newsom surrounded himself with people willing to steal from campaign accounts and lie to federal investigators, and Vance is right. These cases expose a tip of the iceberg where blue state politicians ignore fraud because it lines their pockets. The Trump administration is exposing exactly what voters knew all along. Lead Democrats treat rules as optional for themselves while hammering everybody else. America First demands accountability and not more cover-up. So the story shows why we need strong leadership in Washington right now. President Trump and Vice President Vance are cracking down on waste and fraud that previous administrations ignored. California voters are paying the price for years of mismanagement. If you agree it's time to drain this swamp once and for all, drop a yes in the comments below and text the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. Join the thousands of patriots now who are getting direct updates straight to their phone and bypassing the algorithm, getting notifications directly from me when YouTube fails them. And make sure you check out our new America 250 merch below this video. Show America where you stand. Thank you for watching. Remember, stay informed.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.